going live, but I'm feeling dead. This is the Aaron Zero show with another edition of today's noise, all the noise you want. And what do we have here? Well, it's day 14th, or am I wrong? It's day 13th of the Iran war, which US and Israel launched on February 28th. And Iran is now punishing Israel with multiple rocket attacks, and Tel Aviv is beginning to look like Gaza with a lot of damaged buildings. But the Israelis are still continuing their attacks, and they have a huge plan. Well, of course, you can have a huge plan if you're funded by Uncle Sam. Money is no problem. And the Iran war has cost the US in the first 6 days almost $12 billion. It's almost $1 billion a day. So today is day 14. It's probably around $14 billion, I would say. A war which is an unnecessary war, which has inflicted a lot of suffering upon Iranian people and other people in the Gulf nations. But of course, America's leader doesn't care. And he says that more important than the oil price hike is that we have to end the regime in Iran, which is evil and wicked. But I think he should look at himself in the mirror and find out who is evil and wicked. He find an answer there. And so the attacks continue, and Iran continues its attacks on the Gulf nations and has asked the Gulf nations to vacate the US military bases there in the region, and also has warned against attacking the Kurg Island, which is their major oil exporting platform. And they say that if they have an attack on that, then there will be no restraint on their attacks. And they're still attacking oil facilities in the Gulf Coast countries and attacking Abu Dhabi also, with the result that a lot of the high net worth individuals and major financial institutions in Abu Dhabi are leaving, hopefully temporary, and then they will be back again when there's peace. And Iran's conditions for peace are three: that the warring parties, that is the USA and Israel, have to recognize Iran's legitimate rights, that is, right to exist and right of sovereignty, etc. And they have to pay war reparations for the damages they have caused. I don't think Israel would want to pay anything, not a cent or a dime. And that they should make sure that there are no future aggressions against Iran, and that should be backed by some international guarantees. So that's the order that we have. We have 14 days of war, and apparently Russia and China are getting more and more involved in this conflict, giving Iran some sort of help or intelligence. It's not a good sign for the rest of us, the rest of the world. And the rest of the world is suffering from oil shortages, gas shortages, etc. That is the nature of the game. There's gas shortage already in India, and so the government has taken steps to make sure that domestic customers come first, while the restaurants in India are suffering, and they've had to drastically change their menus and opt for more rice-based menus, though there has been an all clear from the government for them to use coal and kerosene. And these are two polluting fuels, which is not a good sign at all, actually. We would go back to days of more pollution. And apparently, There's plenty of stock of gas in India for domestic customers, but somehow the online websites have crashed due to over demand. And I also heard of people selling the cylinders in the black. And so, of course, there will always be enterprising Indians who will take advantage of a black market economy in something. So that is what is going on just now. And the right to euthanasia has been clarified by the Supreme Court. It was first agreed to in 2011, and of course, recently passed in the case of Mr. Harish Rana, who has been in a vegetative state for 13 years, I believe, and fell from a fourth floor apartment building and never regained consciousness and has been in a coma ever since. Earlier, there was a case of a lady who has been on life support for 40 years, I believe, and then she was removed from life support. So, those are sad cases. That's all I can say. And what else do we have? Uh, the Chinese have passed a law regarding ethnic communities, and they want all the 55 recognized minority communities of China to speak Mandarin and not their own native languages. So, students in Mongolia and Tibet and Uyghur will have to pass their school exams in Mandarin and not their native languages. It's kind of ethnic cleansing. That's how I see it. And Ukraine has stepped up its drone attacks and has attacked the Krasnodar region of Russia, the southern part, with drones and has caused massive fire in the oil refinery area. And the fire is broken out in about 3,800 square meters of land there. So Ukraine is managing to hit Russia where it hurts most, especially in the oil business, because Russia, the Russian government mainly depends upon oil supply to stay afloat and continue the war in Ukraine. It doesn't seem to be any peace in sight. I think Mr. Putin is more interested in continuing the war in Ukraine than in having any peace. And so it's a hot weather in India now, or almost, though of course today was much cooler. And they predict that the El Nino patterns will cause warmer weather across India. We hope the rainfall will be good. In fact, I'm ready for the rain right now. So that is how the story goes. And the city of Delhi uses more and more power every summer. Last summer, it was 8,000 megawatts of power. And this year, they're expecting 9,000 megawatts of power because people are using cooling devices, especially air conditioners. A lot of Delhi people have air conditioners, relatively cheaper side to buy an air conditioner. And though I think the bill would be on the higher side. And the Delhi government is rethinking the free electricity supply to customers because there are a lot of customers who are living out of Delhi or they're living abroad, and the government ends up paying for their bill of a free electricity supply. So up to 200 units of electricity power, it'll be free. Above 400, it is 50% bill. I mean, up to 400, and then beyond 400, there's no subsidy involved. And also, It is summertime, so the Delhi government has put in plans its uh, water supply routine and wants to increase the water supply. Delhi takes about 1,000 million gallons per day, and the demand is 1,250 million gallons per day. So they want to make up the shortfall, better water maintenance, underground areas, underground tanks, better water tanker delivery for low supply areas. All that they're putting into place now so that they can tackle the summer heat when it comes. And that's the story of Delhi just now in a nutshell. And of course, Delhi is supposed to be the wedding capital. And I don't know, for some reason, I find weddings boring. I don't know. Too much money spent, too much finery. Simple weddings are the best, in my humble opinion, where you spend only a couple of $100 million and not a billion, couple of billion like Mr. Ambani. But who am I to say anything, really? So that is the news for you today. Still dominated by the freaking Iran war, a war nobody wanted in the region, but it has been imposed by a selfish American leader. And the people in America are just waiting for the day they can remove Mr. Trump from power. So hopefully, the November elections will be a massive Democratic win, and then you would have a change in government, and Mr. Trump will have to cool his heels somewhere else. And before we end, Balan Shah, that is the young rapper Nepalese leader, has won an absolute majority, his RSP party. So looks like he's going to be the next Nepalese prime minister at 36 years of age. And so Nepal is in for a big change, uh, in that it has defeated its old guard politicians. In fact, he defeated Mr. Oli, who was the last Nepalese prime minister. And of course, this all started when in 2025 they wanted to close down the internet, and the general Gen Z young people protested and brought down the government. So much for the Gen Z. And on that note, we call it a break. Have a great day, and thanks for watching, and subscribe by the billions.